Welcome to the Whispers from the Shadow podcast. I'm Super Jimmy.
I'm Miz. I'm sorry. I saw your mouth. Like, we're gonna make sure we enunciate this.
I messed up earlier. I said Whispers in the Shadow, and then I tried to cover it up, and then it just went down a rabbit hole. It was bad. I'm dumb.
Oh, it's all good. We all make mistakes, but it was just funny because it was the I'm gonna make sure I'm saying this right. I saw it in his lips. I couldn't help but comment.
Put the money in the bag.
Exactly.
But for today's discussion, we're talking about movies that never got a sequel and sequels that never got made, whether it be through production reasons, directors passing away, writing staff quitting, whatever, what have you. But
or just scrapping the idea for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that seems to be a big trope in this industry. But
yeah, I would imagine.
I mean, hey, that's how you get a lot of your classics, like anything that Guillermo del Toro does now. Like I love his monsters.
I love his worlds. I love his mindset. I mean, Crimson Peak is like one of my favorite movies he's done.
I forgot he did that. I keep forgetting he did that.
Oh yeah, no, that was a big deal because everyone's like, this horror movie is going to be fantastic. It wasn't even a horror movie. It was a goth romantic, guys. How'd you not get that from the trailer?
Yeah, like how dare you say this is a horror movie? You fucking noob.
Considered, the supernatural world or whatever. It could be considered a horror movie, which is fine. But it's just the fact of like, it wasn't going to be your ghosts are running around and Tom Hiddleston's this murderer and all this other stuff. It was like a very well told story. I loved it.
I would honestly like to see Tom Hiddleston do a horror movie character. Like Jack, I could see him being Jack the Ripper. I really could.
That'd be an interesting choice.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going based off of just that one? I mean, because I think he could be a very good like H.H. Holmes.
Ooh. I didn't think about it.
I could see him doing the hotel thing.
The only reason I would say, I mean, if he grew a mustache, yeah, because that was kind of H.H. Holmes' trademark, was like the twisted up handlebar mustache type deal.
Mustache,
yeah. But yeah, I could see him doing. I could see him doing a horror movie character. He's got the chops for it. I think he can do it.
A lot of people can. It's just it's not profitable.
It's about the fun of making movies. I would say.
How dare you have fun making movies? I'm here for money, damn it.
Yeah. Hey, just throwing this out there. If any horror movie wants to hire me to just be some dumb guy in a costume, I'll do it. You don't have to pay me as much as you do these big name actors. I guarantee you. Less commas, less zeros.
I can be the tree.
Run, you dumb bitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Just standing there and you see someone trip and fall. It's like, oh, you're gonna die. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, they're gonna get you. It'd be like on Friday, you're gonna bite your ass, Mr. Mailman.
Exactly. It's like, haha, he's gonna up and stab. You ruined the scene. Cut.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Tree's got, words too. Come on.
Trees have feelings.
Don't let me get Treebeard out here. I'll bring the ants.
I love Treebeard. Let us know what movies you'd like to see get made into sequels, or what horror movies should have had sequels in your opinions. Let us know.
Yeah, we can critique them and or have a discussion with you guys. See how it goes.
Oh yeah, big time. But starting the list off kind of weird is Leprechaun in the Old West. This was supposed to be done back in 2008 with Darren Lynn Bousman revealed that he wanted to take over the Leprechaun franchise with a reboot titled Leprechaun in the Old West, where the little bugger, this is word for word from Screen Rant, gets inside a time machine that takes him to the Colorado Gold Rush. Bozeman reiterated his desire for this film last year. So this was published back in... this was published back in 2020. So Bozeman said this back in 2019.
2019.
Warwick Davis to return in his titular role. Honestly, I think the Leprechaun series, me personally, I love it. I love it just the way it is, but I think it's ran its course.
I was never a big Leprechaun person, so like no skin off my teeth. I'm not missing much. I know that. But It's definitely got, like we talked about earlier about cult followings.
Yeah.
It's got a cult following. It's gonna still be made. I mean, talk shit all you want about how stupid Sharknado is. There's what, 3 of those?
Yeah, like I wish they would have stopped before they even got started, but that's just me personally. I didn't like Sharknado. Don't hang me for that.
Yeah. That's a cult following film, though. That's obviously spewed its fair share. Leprechauns the same thing.
Yeah.
But how do I feel about Leprechaun in like an Old West setting? I feel like it just wouldn't work. It just doesn't. It just seems more campy than it needs to be.
I could see it working for one reason only, is because it fits the narrative of the Leprechaun, because he's in Colorado back in, that was 1860 something, 65, I think. So with his gold, whenever somebody takes it from him, he tries to collect it, and however he, goes about collecting it is on him. So I could see that aspect of it working, but I don't think that it would work out the same way that any of the other Leprechauns did. Because my personal favorite, honestly, is the first one with Jennifer Aniston, and then Leprechaun in the Hood. I think that was
Leprechaun in the Hood's classic, though.
4.
That movie's so fucking good.
But I'm a big Jennifer Aniston like fanboy.
She can do no wrong movie.
Yeah, like just. It's like, oh, this is Jennifer Aniston. She's my next ex-wife. Come on, Jenny. like that. That's the only reason why that one's above Leprechaun 4 into Hood, because it was just like that one. I'm sorry, that one was just too funny. It wasn't taking anything serious. Like, you had a leprechaun smoking weed at one point in time. It was funny to me. It was, but that's one of the, like, I don't see this one being on that same level. Like, I could see the comedy aspect of it. Love Warwick Davis. He's a great actor. One of my favorite little people. And he was in Willow back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
He was a leprechaun numerous times. He played all the goblins in Hogwarts. Like, the dude is well established as an actor.
Oh yeah, I know, he's fantastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, just seeing him act I like seeing him act personally, but I don't see this leprechaun being on the same level as the previous ones, because of the simple fact that, like, could Boseman do good with this? Yes. Could Warwick Davis do good with it? Yes. But I feel like this franchise has already ran its course. As much as I enjoy the Leprechaun movies, it's a no from me personally, but that's my 2 cents on it.
Fair enough.
We'll move on to the next one. Me and Miz were talking about this earlier. It's called, there's a movie. I love it. It's funny. It has Bruce Campbell in it. It's called Bubba Hotep. It's an insinuated Elvis fighting a mummy. It's so ridiculous, it's good. But they wanted to make and they still, from what I can understand, they still want to make a sequel. It's called Bubba Nosferatu, Curse of the She-Vampires. And I'll read you a little synopsis of that. Bubba Hotep, starring Bruce Campbell as Elvis Presley. So he was Elvis. Fighting an Egyptian mummy wasn't meant to get a sequel, though as a joke, the end credits included an announcement for Bubba Nosferatu, Curse of the She-Vampires. I remember that. After seeing the positive reception to the first film, director Don, that's a long last name, Cascarelli, I think I said that right, decided to work on it. Paul Giamatti came on board to play Elvis's real-life manager, Colonel Tom Parker, though Bruce Campbell dropped out due to disagreements with Coscarelli. So that's one reason why it didn't get made. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing that one get made, because I like Bubba Hotep. It's a good, fun horror comedy to me.
Yep, that's fair. No, I would have liked to say, has seen it made just to say to have a sequel kind of thing, just to, fulfill its end credit thing. But the main part is just like, nah, leave it be. Just leave it be.
That's fair. That's fair. I would have liked, because I mean, if they would have kept, because I think that's the same director that directed the first one, if I'm not mistaken. So if they were to do the same style writing, same style comedy, same style movie altogether, and take it into the second one, I could see it doing just as good as the first one, if not better. But that's just me.
That's fair. That's fair.
And if you haven't seen Bubba Hotep, I highly recommend it. It will tickle your funny bun. It is very good fun.
It's good fun. Because
Bruce Campbell, he just envelops his role as an older Elvis that didn't die on the pooper. This one I really didn't want to see get made. It was called The Monster Squad versus Godzilla.
Yeah, that. Well, as soon as why even make a sequel to it? You don't need to. Like,
you really don't.
The movie's fantastic as it is. And I feel like making a sequel against something like Godzilla makes literally no sense. How would you even put that together? So, like, I wouldn't even know. If they made this, if this actually gets greenlit and ever made, I definitely won't be seeing this shit.
No, I won't. Because the synopsis for this one says the 1987 Monster Squad is a cult classic. It is. It's one of my favorite older
fantastic
horror movies.
It's a great like introduction to like horror for kids.
Yes.
It's got just enough like real horror, but it's also still very, very kid friendly.
Yeah. And I think there's maybe like one curse word in it. I think it's the word damn. I think that's it.
I don't remember, but yeah, there's not much cursing. There's not much blood or anything like that. I think like one of the more graphic scenes in it is like towards the end when Wolfman gets blown up by dynamite. That's like one of the more graphic scenes. Other than that, it's really pretty tame.
And I don't even think they showed him blowing up. I think they just showed like an explosion. Like they showed him and then they showed the explosion.
I think they had like a marionette that blew up, and then you don't really even see much in the explosion. You just pretty much see like your typical arm go one way, torsos kind of stay still, or whatever. But it's like when the after shot is when they have like his hands and feet and torso like all strewn about, and you see like actual guts and stuff like that. Yeah, is where it's like that that's where I say it's the most graphic for it. Yeah, but other than that, it's tame as hell.
But it says that the Monster Squad is a cult classic. It is. So much so that a remake or sequel never got made. Though not for lack of trying. In this case, a sequel, one idea director and co-writer Fred Decker, which Fred Decker is a pretty predominant person in the horror industry and in movie writing industry in and of itself, was pitting the Monster Squad against the king of monsters himself, Godzilla. I don't see how that would work.
Yeah, at all. At all, yeah. There's no fucking way.
Would it have been good? Would it have been good fun?
Probably.
Yeah. But I don't think it would have been on the same level as the first one. That's one of those ones that like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to skip this one. Like, just keep it where it is. It's fine.
And then this one is, I gotta agree. Like that, like Monster Squad did not need a sequel. Watch the original from 1987. It's dated. It's very dated, but it is still.
It is so good. It is
still so good. Like the writing holds up. The characters hold up. It's all good. And it's the original monsters.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want like to see the original creature features monster movies from the 30s and 40s brought to like modern time, it's done very well. Very well.
Very well. Speaking of older monsters, I keep seeing more. I keep seeing more and more of Renfield, and I want to see it even more because it just looks too funny. I know we talked about it last episode, but I'm actually more on board of the go see it because it just looks funny. Like it looks like a good time.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I'm definitely going to be going to it. I still try to avoid as many trailers as possible for the sole fact of like I feel like trailers reveal way too much nowadays.
Yeah.
And then, like I said last time, is like I'm so focused on I see the trailer, I'm looking for that specific scene to see where we are in the movie or if they're using it. And when it's like when you don't see it, okay, cool, whatever. But when like you see a scene and you're waiting for it, like fuck, it's at the end of the movie. So now you're like kind of just defeated. Like, okay, I know something's happening then, so I know where to put this story going, where it's going right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try to avoid trailers, but I don't mind seeing like snippets of it from TikTok, like that, like just
That's
like a
fair.
30-second snippet. Not that bad.
Sometimes even 30 seconds is too much.
Yep, fair. That is fair. Because sometimes that 30 seconds reveals way more than it intended. And you're like, oh.
Especially I'm not this kind of person, but I envy those who are. But like those people who dissect a trailer or like just like here's a screenshot of, an upcoming announcement. And like they fucking dissect that one picture and they have like 90 different subjects or topics that can go based off of that. It's like, how do you guys know?
I don't get how they do that, and that takes a lot of skill. I will admit that because they're like, oh, in this scene right here, you can see he's showing his fangs. That means he's about to suck someone's blood. It's like, how did you get that scene? That was not even in the trailer yet. And then how did you like progress to the point where I need a Venn diagram
of all this random stuff? Yeah, it's like, weird.
I need to know your flow chart, sir. But coming up next is George A. Romero's Resident Evil. Excuse me. A little congestion. Sorry about that. It says the father of the zombie horror subgenre, adapting a horror game inspired by his work. How could this not be great? Romero came on board the Resident Evil movie in 1998, and his script was reported to be faithful to the first game. Romero wrote as many as 6 drafts for the film before it was rejected by Constantine Film AG because it would have been rated NC-17, which often doesn't bring in crowds. I call bullshit.
Well, for its time, you got to remember, 98 was a different breed.
Fair.
It was still like, I remember going to go see, I think it was Jurassic Park 2, Lost World. My brother and sister are older than me at this time, or like they're 8 and 9 years older than me. And my mother would send them to go to the movies to see the movie to make sure that there's not too graphic of violence for me to go see as in like an 8-year-old. And I was like, to me, that sounds ridiculous, but that was like how it was back then. Then, fast forward 5 years later, then we had unfiltered internet. Then that all went out the fucking window. Oh
yeah. But yeah, like
it's the, I don't know. I just don't know.
Like, and George A. Romero passed away not too long ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
It has been a few years. Okay. But I mean, I would have liked to seen his rendition of it because I feel like he would have done the video game movie adaptation justice because he's kind of one of those guys that like when he writes a story, he doesn't just go shooting aimlessly into the dark to make it his own thing. He adds his thing to the thing that's already established and well loved. And I think that's what makes it a great George A. Romero film. If he ever did any adaptations, which I think he did like 2 of anything.
I don't remember off the top of my head right now.
Because I know he redid Day of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I would have liked to seen it for one major reason because it's a Romero film and I want to see his take on it. And the second reason is that if it was NC-17 by their standards would probably be a really hard R for today's standards is how I see it because like NC-17 usually meant there was more than, I don't know, 12 seconds of boob or anything. Any type of nudity.
Like you said fuck more than twice.
Yeah. Well, depending on the movie. I mean, Goodfellas was still rated R and has like one of the highest F-bombs ever.
Yeah. But I mean,
that was 98, I think.
I think that was 98. When did the first Resident Evil movie come out? That was like what, 2003?
Ooh, no, I want to say that's a little earlier.
First.
I think I was in middle school. I think it was like 02, 01. No.
It was 02. Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil film was released in 2002, followed by 5 sequels and a 2021 reboot, Welcome to Raccoon City. Oh my God.
Yeah, that. Oh my god, that's.
I quit watching
So it's a
after the third one.
4 year difference between the first one and Romero's vision. I would have been within our time too. Oh, I would have loved that.
That would have been nice. I would have loved to have seen that one. Damn it. Someone did wake up the guy that did the dinosaur thing that turned a mammoth meatball, that made a mammoth meatball, and we're going to revive Romero. I need more Romero.
You can't go wrong with Romero.
But I would have liked to have seen it. Yeah, I mean,
for sure. I 100% on that.
Because we both know that if it was NC-17 back then, he definitely would have released a director's cut like he did with Land of the Dead.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To where it was extended and got a harsher rating. But I like that would put it in what, the adult category?
Yep. That's the thing is, I know NC-17 movies don't bring in, but if you really look at it, R and NC-17, there's literally very small differences, but they're both 17 and older is like the recommended age group. So it's like, it just sounds like NC-17 is like, oh, immediate porn.
Yeah. Like I would have liked to see it, not just because of the rating, but because I feel like we would have gotten a lot of the beloved tropes from the original Resident Evil, like the bazookas. I feel
like Romero, if he were to actually do it like close to the game and stuff, you would still get that fucking campy humor in there that you need and just be great. Like deadpan. I'd be so happy with that.
Yeah. Next up is Guillermo del Toro's The Haunted Mansion. I personally would have liked to have seen Guillermo del Toro's spin on this, but I'll read the synopsis and then I'll get your feedback. It says, since 2010, director Guillermo del Toro has been attached to the new film based on the Haunted Mansion attraction for Disney. He stated that he wanted the film to be intensely scary yet fun. With the Hatbox Ghost at the center of the film's plot, Ryan Gosling was in talks to star back in 2015 after more work was done on the script, though production never started on it. So this one got stuck in production hell. But I would have liked to have seen it just because I love, we both said it, we love Guillermo del Toro's worlds, his creatures, his monsters, whatever you may want to call it. I would have loved to have seen his spin on this.
Yeah, because they are doing that, and I don't know who is supposed to be doing it now.
It's not him.
Yeah, I know it's not. I would love to see it. I love anything he does, but I would have enjoyed his visuals more than anything on it. I don't still care for that at all. Haunted Mansion is like one of my least favorite things, but for him, I would like sacrifice that time to see the vision he would have done.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen it and everything like that. And because I feel like his creatures would have been a lot like more his vision rather than just, oh, some guy you can see through. Like he would have had like one, like the headless ghost would have been like, is like a face, like his head would have been like faceless or something like that. And then he would have had like an eyeball in the center of his forehead or something, you know.
There'd be takes that you could tell is classic Del Toro. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like I think it would have been great. I really do.
Yeah. And was it Dan Jones? I think his name is Dan Jones. That's always with him on the project. So you gotta expect him in there too.
Dan Jones is a great monster, and like anything that he plays, because he played the thing with the eyeballs in his hands, the ice cream man from Legion. I forgot he played Abe Sapien.
Fish in the what was it?
Hellboy.
No, he played in Abe Sapien and Hellboy. Yeah, no, the other one I'm thinking of.
The Body of Water?
Yeah, Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. That's what it was. Shape of Water.
He played Fishman in that as well. That's what I was thinking of. I had a fucking huge ass brain for it.
I did too. I did not know that was him though. But
pretty much you see Del Toro, Dan Jones.
That's great. I love Dan Jones. I did not know that he played the old woman in Insidious.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that was him until like a couple years ago. Like when I went around the time that I saw Insidious 3, I did not know that was Dan Jones. I was like, they did really good with his makeup. because they made him look like a female corpse bride. I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, well. Next one is called Child's Play on Elm Street. So,
oh God,
it's basically, I'll read the synopsis. For years, Child's Play creator Dan Mancini been anxious. I love Dan Mancini. He's good at what he does. Been anxious to make Child's Play on Elm Street, where Chucky crosses paths with Freddy Krueger. The plot would see Chucky winding up in a kid's house on Elm Street and meeting Freddy in his dream, with the two killers hitting it off pretty well. So this wouldn't be Chucky versus Freddy. This would be Chucky and Freddy going on
together.
I honestly, no, thank you.
I don't see this doing well personally. If it ever does get made, even as a joke,
Yeah.
it makes no sense to me. I get where they're doing it, but it throws me back to after Freddy versus Jason. There was so many movies being pushed to be like, AVPs. You had a bunch of other things too, and then like you heard the stupid ones, like what if Chucky versus Leprechaun and all this other random shit. So making them work together in that sense still just sounds goofier than shit more than anything.
Yeah, and also this sounds like it was coming out after Robert Englund decided to take off the glove, take off the sweater, whatever you want to call it, where he just retired from being Freddy, because he's in his 60s. He's in his 60s now. 60s or 70s.
Something like that. I don't remember his age.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, could he still do Freddy? I think he could, but honestly, he's retired from it. He doesn't want to do it anymore, which is understandable. He did it for almost 40 years.
Yeah. As much as we love to envy that person for that role, it's like, that they do other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like why Bruce Campbell, if you see him in anything, you instantly recognize him. You're like, hey, that's Ash, is because he did Ash in 3 movies and a TV show. And he kind of got, I don't want to say hard stuck in it, but he kind of got hard stuck in it. Could he have done other things? Yeah, I believe he could have, but nobody wanted to cast him outside of Ash because everybody knew him as Ashley Williams. And it was like,
that are just associated with those movies, which again, it's like the whole what kills your career. Like there's certain movies that can kill careers, unfortunately. And you're stuck in that trope. Because it happened to a lot of child actors, and I mean, like hell, it's happened to some even big actors. I mean, like for Mark Hamill, he was the main star for mostly of the Star Wars franchise, but no one cast him in much else afterwards. The only ones that really got out of that one was Ford.
Yeah. And I mean, Ford just kind of hopped on anything Spielberg or George made for the most part. And then you have, Mark Hamill got his chops in voice acting because people did not know he was a voice actor. I didn't know he was a voice actor until I was an adult. I didn't know that was Mark Hamill doing the voice of Joker until I was 19, 20-ish. So I was like, wow, okay. So I feel for these actors that got typecasted into these specific roles. Like,
don't get me wrong, they're benefiting from it now, but
big time.
It's way after the fact of their prime where they could have gone further if it was different. But being typecast would suck. So with this, I feel like it's just, we want to hold another tangent with that. But this just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that Child's Play on Elm Street, that's a no from me. Cause like, would they work together? Probably, but
it's a dominance thing someone's going to give. They're both murderers.
Yeah, I see Freddy being the more dominant of the two because he's gone to hell, has powers from hell, whereas Chucky is essentially a necromancer. Like he's a lich. Chucky's a lich.
In a sense, yeah. I mean, because he's just a fucking possessing the body of the doll.
And then last one on this list is Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I,
Even another Freddy versus Jason. I know there's the whole like, oh, is Freddy dead at the end? Fully, blah blah blah. Yeah, no, it just doesn't need a sequel. And then throwing Ash in there, there's no connection. I mean, there's always been the like one-off comic strips and so on and so forth with them, but I don't see this happening. Even if it were to even be pushed as a thing, it's going to be hard shut down because I mean, even right now, doing reboots or doing stuff like that, I mean, some movies benefit from it, some don't. I mean, they wanted to redo the whole Friday the 13th series, but the first one didn't do that well, and there hasn't been a new one since. But I thought it was fine.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was good. Yeah, I just would I have liked to have seen it done better? Yeah, but would I have wanted it to get the modern day Saw treatment? No, thank you. Like, don't get me wrong. Saw in and of itself is a good franchise. I love the concept, but it doesn't need 9 sequels. It really doesn't.
Yeah. And one spinoff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about the spinoff because that was Spiral.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I've heard good things about Spiral. I've never watched it.
I personally loved it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. Honestly, I was going in like this isn't going to be a good movie, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Moving on to the next list, we have top 10 horror movies that never got sequels. I'm gonna skip some of the ones on this list because it's pretty obvious as to why they didn't get sequels. Like the top 2 on this list are The Crazies and It Follows. They kind of ended it after like the first one. Like It Follows, you could have made a sequel to it, but me personally, it doesn't. Yeah.
Why?
I didn't personally like It Follows. It just wasn't scary to me. It was more suspense than anything. Like it could have been scary, yeah, but it was just the concept didn't work for me personally.
Yeah, it just isn't my movie. No, it's bad. I have so many bad things to say about it, but not for me.
Yeah, same. But one that they do have on this list is Sleepy Hollow, the one with Johnny Depp. I don't think it personally needed a sequel. I think that it pretty much topped it off after the first one. But the synopsis is the tale of the headless horseman of Sleepy Hollow is one that has been told and retold countless times in books, television shows, and movies for years. However, the most popular take on Washington Irving's legend by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane. In this version, Ichabod is a lawman sent to the titular town to investigate a series of murders of the townspeople. Murders the townspeople claim have been carried out by the headless spirit. It would be easy to see Depp's version of Crane return in further paranormal adventures, while Depp and Burton would reteam several more times. They never did revisit this story. Me personally, I think it ended on a high note on the first one. I think Johnny Depp did good. I think Tim Burton did good. I think the movie was great. It's one of my all-time favorites. I honestly don't think that one needed a sequel, personally. And I think Tim Burton might see it the same way.
I can see a hard shutdown for that, and to again be kind of typecast in that one spot. But I mean, they do it all the time with each other, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But there's no need for a sequel because the legend of Sleepy Hollow is the headless horseman. Like it's like that's all it is. What else are you going to do with it? Are you going to just bring in other like fairy tale stories like that into that world and do like a Brothers Grimm little book series kind of thing, or like TV shows do and all this other stuff? Like, yeah, no, you'd have to bring in something else, and there's nothing else to bring in.
Yeah, like I mean, they have that weird TV show where they tried to make it like the misadventures of Ichabod Crane or something like that, where like he battled like a different entity up to the headless horseman, and it only made it through like one season or something like that. It
sounds familiar. I don't know if I even saw it.
I heard about it. It honestly might have been like a comic book series or something like that, but I do remember something of that. And I'm just like, what is he gonna fight? Is he gonna like hunt down fairies?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It wouldn't work. It really wouldn't.
I don't see it working at all.
No. Next up is The Sixth Sense. Like, this is like, me personally, I shit on a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's work after Signs up to, I'll say Old and Knock at the Cabin, because I haven't seen those ones yet. Those ones are excluded. I haven't seen those ones, but everything in between after Signs to that has just been bad. But honestly, I think The Sixth Sense probably could have gotten a sequel.
Yeah, but you'd be following the kid more than anything, but
Fair.
what's going to be his typical twist? How are you going to kind of throw that in when that big reveal was the thing? Yeah. So I don't know. Part of it sounds like it would just be more of, again, like a clairvoyant on adventure,
Fair. I could see it working in kind of the same sense, like how he did with Unbreakable, Glass, and the new one. I forget what the new one is.
Oh, so no, Glass is the new one.
I'm sorry.
It's Unbreakable, Split, and then Glass.
Yeah. So like I could see him doing something similar with that if he were to make a sequel of The Sixth Sense, make it to where instead of like seeing dead people, they like communicate somehow. I could see it like kind of taking a Doctor Sleep approach of things with like the clairvoyance.
I have yet to see Doctor Sleep, so I mean I wouldn't know that personal reference or that reference personally, but I get where you're going with it.
Yeah. Basically in Doctor Sleep, no spoilers. This book has been out for 30 years. 40 years? I can't remember. I think he wrote it in the 80s. But basically what happens is the kid from The Shining, all grown up now, and can communicate with other clairvoyants and people with The Shining throughout the world. And he can connect with this one girl via like a chalkboard, essentially. And she's like the most powerful of the clairvoyants. And then there's, and then they can communicate back and forth through the chalkboard. She'll write hi, and then he'll write, "How was your day?" And it appears to both of them on a different chalkboard on different ends of the US. So I could see him doing something like that with The Sixth Sense, but then have it turn out to be that the person that he was communicating with the entire time was dead. I don't know. I could see it working, but I could also see it failing too. So,
yeah, and how many of his films have really like spawned sequel worthy other than the one, which was like Unbreakable, really?
Yeah, fair. Because I mean, you can't really do much with Signs because the plot twist was literally her telling him to swing away, and all he was doing was just taking a baseball bat and smashing glasses. Like, how would she have known that? How was that a twist? How? Like, I love Signs, but damn it.
Like, you could do a Signs too with like an invasion, but it's like that's not your typical M. Night. Like, he doesn't do like really big actiony sequence. It's very like drawn out,
slow burn,
quote unquote, the slow burn complexity building up until like, oh, it kind of makes sense, and then weird twist kind of thing is more of his vibe.
Yeah. Like, I got you. It's like, no, you really didn't. I saw that twist coming. The only twists that actually got me in his movies were The Sixth Sense and Signs. Like, I may think that the twist from Signs is stupid. It still got me because the wife passed away, and Bruce Willis's brother, Joaquin Phoenix, was a former, I think he was AAA baseball or AA baseball player. I don't remember. And it was just like, swing away. Ugh. And then he's holding the bat, and there's glasses of water all around the living room. And the little girl was aware of the aliens coming and just started swinging and smacking glasses. Like, stupid, yes. Did it work? It got me. I will say that.
Yeah, that's fair. I like his twists, whether they're silly, stupid, or whatnot. The
Yeah.
only one like again, I feel like everyone does not like agree with it so far. It's still what is it?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh well, that's a given. No, it's what's the one with the trees taking over everything?
Oh, Happening.
Mark Wahlberg, The Happening. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, that I'm sorry that movie was so it was I forgot that he made that. I forgot all about that movie until you said that. That movie was so dumb to me. Okay, I take it back. That one got me too, but that one's a guilty pleasure of mine because Mark Wahlberg, the trees are killing people. Like that line just killed me. The way he said it, his Boston accent came out so heavy. He was like, the trees are killing people. And I was just like, oh my God. But
yeah, it's just so no.
yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, I could see it going both ways with that one. So that I'm kind of indifferent on that one personally, but each their own. Let the Right One In. This one is a originally Swedish film about a boy who finds a girl who's a vampire that's being taken care of by her father, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And then it got adapted into an American version with the exact same style writing, concept, everything was exactly the same except different characters. And I remember it being it was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. I liked it, but it wasn't one of the ones that like I would highly recommend. It doesn't come off as a high recommendation for me personally. And I don't see how it would work because it ends with the little boy and the vampire girl still being friends. Spoiler alert for a 17-year-old movie, I think is when the first one came out.
I don't remember when it came out, but I don't know. It's still too kid friendly thing for me, so I don't really care for it.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't great. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is groundbreaking filmography for me. It was kind of like, okay. Like when I found out she was a vampire, I was like, oh shit, didn't see that coming. But other than that, it was like, I don't see how they could make it work. Like, does he become the caregiver for the little girl because he can't? It would be weird for him to age and her be the same age and him still be in love with her. Like, I don't see that working.
Yeah. Nah, makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Let that one stay there.
Yeah. One that I'm kind of glad didn't get greenlit was the Babadook. Like the first one, I didn't like really it. I didn't dislike it. Yeah,
it's a movie for sure. It's a weird one at that. I enjoy the ride I took with the movie. It doesn't seem like it needs a sequel at all. It just seems like they became roommates and tolerated each other. And hey, let's go. Whatever. There, end of story. How do you continue a story off of that?
Yeah, like is he gonna go on to a new family? Did he leave the old family that was taking care of him, that tolerated him?
There's just so many things that makes no sense about it. So yeah, that one's fine. That one's totally fine staying exactly where it is. Let them be roomies.
So going back a couple episodes, would the Babadook be considered the evil winning? Technically,
I guess you could see it that way. Yeah, I mean, that all ends well, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, nobody really died. Nobody, but the Babadook found a home.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Roomies, man. They're sharing rent now. Leave them alone.
and he's a giant cockroach. Like
they're buddies. They're buddies.
Let me tell you about my best friend. Why are you crying while you're singing that song? Yeah. Oh, my pen ran out of ink. Next up, we talked about this one, and we kind of felt the same about it, but The Thing.
Yeah, the continuation of John Carpenter's The Thing storyline.
Without him on it, I couldn't.
Agreed for one, but two, it's like there's the mystery of it is like, how do you continue it? They're both right there. Whether they both live, they both die, you will never know. You can just even say they both froze. So how do you even continue the story unless you're like, hey, there's the search team that's supposed to come out there. Search team comes out there, finds all this, and then brings it back to the States or what? Or brings it at least more inland to like, like let's say, because they were in Antarctica. So like somewhere in like Africa or South America or something like that. And it's all there and then be introduced into civilization kind of thing. That seems again too beeline movie script,
Yeah, I feel like that would be rushed and done half-assed. So
very poorly.
I mean, if they were to take like they did with the video game that came out and like we talked about like 2002, I could see that maybe working.
But even then, the game itself was not fantastic. Like it contradicts itself in some ways, but the game only can be considered a sequel again because at the very end of the game you get rescued by McCree. That's it. Like that's what's making it like canon, not canon. But again, it's the game is not by the best standards in that sense because it's like you're in Antarctica, you're walking around in the open world, and the monsters actually are attacking you while you're still walking through the snow. When that's what kind of made it freeze in the first place,
Oh, okay, yeah, that would not work. Okay, so never mind then.
How is this happening?
Hey, wait a minute. I got a question. This don't make sense.
It says check A for the answer, and the answer says circle B. I don't get this.
but B says that it's incorrect. Choose C, and then C says maybe D ?
I'm confused. But yeah, I would not like to see a sequel. If anything, I like what they did with the prequel to see it from a different point of view or to get to the end result. I do like that, but I don't know. I would personally like to have one movie start and end with both of them together in a sense. That'd be like the only way I can see it is combining the two stories being better. But other than that, there's nothing else you can do with that series. It's done.
Yeah, fair. Speaking of done series, The Cabin in the Woods. I don't see how they could make a sequel with this one because the world ended at the end of the movie. I was
gonna say, there's no way for a sequel unless you're like, hey, you want to know what happened in the last like half hour for them around the world? I guess we could tell 3 stories with this, right? Yeah, that sounds good. That's like the only way I can see that happening.
I don't see how they could do it because like they wake up the elder gods, everybody dies because this movie came out in 2012, I think. Yeah, 2012, 2013. And it's like I don't see how they could like be like, hey, you know what we missed? The origins of the elder gods. Like I don't need to know that. Mm-hmm. To me, Cabin in the Woods was a guilty pleasure movie. Like it's fun. It has its funny parts. It has its horror elements.
It's got its dumb fun, but it's also got its like serious undertone that you're trying to do. But the best scene in that whole movie, though, is still when the elevator's open. You see the guards get shredded by everything. That is the best scene in that whole fucking film.
Me personally, my favorite scene is where he finally gets to see the merman. He goes,
I was about to eat him.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? And a fun fact about that scene was that they rigged the blowhole to spout the blood out. But the problem, they were running into problems getting the blowhole to be consistent with the amount of blood that it would spray. So like sometimes it would just be an ungodly amount and the whole thing would just get everywhere all at once. And other times it was like sputters. So like while the actor is doing this, like the first one just blasts him in the face. And it's like all of the blood that they had poured in there that was supposed to come out in 3 short spurts. And it just blasts him in the face. And he's just laying there and he's like, ah. And then they're like, oh, crap, we got to redo that. So they do it again. And then it's like it sputters. It sends out like 5 or 6 little sprays where it's like. And he's just sitting there and he's just like, what? And then they go to do it again. And then it doesn't work. So they empty it out. Fill it back up with I think it was CO2 and the blood, and they go to do it again. And then it does the first thing all over again. And he's like, all right, I need a break. But he said,
so many times I can get blood in my face.
But he said he was dying laughing the entire time, and that's why they had to keep cutting, was because when it would malfunction, he would start laughing because when it first blasted him in the face, he's like, "Oh, what the?" But yeah, I love that. I love that scene out of the movie because he just like rolls over and it's like
slowly getting to him.
Are you kidding me? Ah! I love that deadpan in on his face, and it's like, oh.
Fair. Yeah, no, certain scenes like that are just very, very good.
Comedy gold. Moving on to the next list. This one's from Looper. The other two are from Screen Rant. This one's from Looper. I kind of like Looper because they kind of fish for other people's opinions, which is something that I would like to do here on this show. So if you guys made it this far, please let us know any movies that you would like to have a sequel. But we almost got a Special Ops Zombies with John Carpenter's Shadow Company.
Yeah, that one I don't know how I feel about it. For one, it's got John on there. I'd be happy, but
yeah, I'd see it just because it has John on there.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I probably wouldn't even go see it in theater kind of thing. It'd be one of those. I'm gonna wait once this comes out. I'll be good.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of would have if it came out. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. If it would have came out before Dead Snow, I feel like it kind of would have been, hey, Dead Snow copy John Carpenter type of deal. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get it, but at the same time, I still would have loved to watch it because John Carpenter, come on.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Next up is the Wachowskis wanted to show us a cannibal soup kitchen with carnivore. I don't know how I feel about this one. I know the Wachowskis for their take on people in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember Carnivore because it came out in 1992. So
now Carnivore, we're talking. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I would personally, only thing I can say is I'd see it just because of the Wachowskis. I love their directing. The only movie I did not like, and that's just because I wasn't a fan of the anime, but I loved everything, how they shot it, wrote it, and everything is done very well, which was Speed Racer.
Animatrix. Oh, I was going to say I like the Animatrix.
Oh, I don't know. I love the Animatrix. No, I was going to say is Speed Racer. Their take on it, it's just, I don't like Speed Racer, but I watched that movie for them specifically because I love their shots. I love how they do things.
Yeah, I love the fact that they like keep the frame of focus on the person while like stuff is going on around them, and you can still tell what's going on around them as you're focusing in on the person. It's not just deadpan, dead set on the face type of deal. So I mean, I could see them doing a horror movie. But I would like them to do their horror movie, not a sequel to somebody else's. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They would seem to be doing from the ground up instead of remaking.
Yeah, because I feel like that would do better for their style. Personally, I love the Wachowskis. They're great directors, and the fact that there's two of them that are directing on the same set, and both of them have a different approach is just honestly awesome. And it shows in their work, and it shows that every movie they make is a labor of love. But I couldn't see them doing a sequel. If they would have made this, I probably would have seen it because it has their name on it. But as far as wanting it to get made, I wouldn't want them to make this. I would want them to make their own horror movie.
Yeah. Let's start from the ground up, and that's how they are.
Yeah, because I don't see them as a story continuer. I see them both as storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Steven Spielberg could have given us evil aliens with night skies. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Steven Spielberg directing a horror movie. There's not much information on this, but it says this would be a successor of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, produced by Columbia Pictures, and they wanted Steven Spielberg to make a sci-fi follow-up. So
I mean, I'm not a fan of Close Encounters personally.
No,
it's not one of my films. Like I said, I love Spielberg, but not everything he does do I absolutely love.
yeah, and like I could see like his take on the animatronic style to make it look really awesome, but I gotta say, like, Close Encounters just wasn't really my cup of tea. Even the remake, I was kind of like meh about, because I've never been like, aliens. It's always been like, there's a guy trying to stab somebody in the closet. A shark.
That's all right. No, for me, I'm not a fan of Close Encounters. But for what it is, a sequel to it, I don't really see even going well.
No,
like there's only so much you can really do other than, like, again, another ET.
Yeah, they wanted to make an ET sequel, but Spielberg told them no.
Yeah,
because that it just he's one of those guys that'll shoot down something that he doesn't see working out, and I'm glad that he's that type of director, but like, I don't really see this even working out, even with him directing it. If he were to direct it, write it, produce it, whatever,
there's no saving it. I don't see any saving it. It's done.
No. And then let's see. Oh, we already talked about that one, Bubba Nosferatu. But Tim Burton wanted to give us some love. He wanted to give some love to Geek Love. Catherine Dunn's Geek Love is one of the most upsetting and beautiful novels ever written. So, okay. The story follows a family of circus freaks, their words, not mine, and involves nightmarish subplots about parents who chemically mutilate their kids and a cult that's big into amputating limbs, and a woman who pays beautiful girls to disfigure themselves. I don't know if Tim Burton would be the right choice for that.
In a campy way, and then even in a serious note, I think he'd do fine with it. But I don't think that would be something he'd be willing to do.
Yeah, it says that he wanted to do it, but like, it doesn't say whether it was production, whatever the case was. So yeah. I don't know. Okay, here we go. In a 2006 interview, Burton admitted the book was near and dear to his heart and that he had been really interested in the project. However, the filmmaker said that adapting such a cherished classic was quite daunting. Understandable. It sounds like it. And he wasn't sure if he could do the story justice. Still, Burton said that if he could ever get rid of that fear factor of destroying a great book, he might make the movie eventually. Flippers crossed. We'll see someday. So I mean, he has interest in it, but I don't know.
I don't know the book well enough to really have a solid opinion on it. That's just like. So I didn't think he would want to, but evidently I was wrong. So
I didn't read enough of that to say whether or not he actually wanted to do it. That was the title, and you know how titles are. They're clickbait. Yeah. They're like, oh, I can fit this many fingers in my nostrils. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a relatively gory book, but at the same time, I love Tim Burton, love the stuff he does, but I don't know if that would work out, honestly. Because from the synopsis that I got from the details of the book, it kind of sounds a little messed up. And I don't know if that would fall into a certain niche crowd of fans.
I was going to say, like, as soon as they see Tim Burton, a lot of people are going to see it because Tim Burton.
Exactly. And, a lot of people also don't read up on, like, what the movie's about. They just go and see it, which, I envy those people. Mm-hmm. But... Like I feel like a lot of people would kind of be like, why? In a sense, not so much a what, but more of a why. Moving on is the blah, 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 blah. But yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it working outside of like diehard Tim Burton fans.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing. That's the one thing I don't see a game like it's gonna save it pretty much in that sense. But if he's fully down to it, sure, cool, whatever. I'll probably see it too. But
yeah, I don't know if I'd go to the theater to see it.
Fair.
I'd probably wait for it to be either out on Blu-ray or streaming. With knowing him, it'll probably end up on either HBO Stars or Cinemax. So, yeah, who knows? I would probably wait for it to be streaming because I don't know. It sounds interesting, but at the same time, I'm on the fence about it. Like at the same time, I'm like, ooh, but at the same time, I'm like, eh.
I will just. I don't have really an opinion on it, honestly.
Yeah, this one is right up your alley. I don't really have a opinion of this, but Ridley Scott and Arnold Schwarzenegger almost teamed up for I Am Legend. So apparently they were going to make turn I Am Legend has been turned into film 3 times. I didn't know that. Once with Vincent Price, another with Charlton Heston, and finally with Will Smith. But in the 1990s, Ridley Scott almost gave us an R-rated blockbuster where Arnold Schwarzenegger would fight an army of desiccated, I think I said that right, vampires. The creatures were called hemocytes, and these infected humans would be thin, feral creatures that wear plastic bags to shield themselves from the sun. Their design was inspired by 17th century wax sculptures, and unlike the CGI atrocities from the Will Smith film, these creatures were going to be completely practical. I mean, I do like practical effects.
Yeah, no, so do I. But in the 90s, it's hard to say how that movie would have been, honestly. I love Ridley Scott, don't get me wrong, but it depends on how he would want to go about it. Is he going to do it as he would for like when he did Robin Hood, a little bit more action and everything like that, or is he going to try and do the both action / storytelling like with Gladiator, or is he going to just do storytelling like it's supposed to be off the book? So
yeah,
I personally don't know how it would have ended up. A little curious. I would have loved to see it because again, Ridley Scott. But I don't know. Partly glad we got to miss out on this one.
yeah.
I don't know how that would have been back then.
All I can think of is just Arnold Schwarzenegger. Vampires, help me!
No, fair. Yeah, no, I don't know how that would have been.
Oh no,
I just really don't.
I just got this in my head. Put the puppy down.
Oh my god.
Why?
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I'm kind of glad I missed this one. It's piqued my curiosity. Yes, I wish it was made just to see how it turned out, but kind of glad I missed it. Kind of glad.
Yeah, and and the next one, before we go on to the next one, with this one, like it would have been one of those ones that would have kind of turned into like Predator in a sense. Like it would have had its huge fan base, and I feel like it probably might have ended up getting another sequel after that to see like what happens with Arnold Schwarzenegger's character or something along those lines to see how this progressed. And I just,
even if it didn't go that route, I don't think it would have gotten the sequel. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. It just would have been an interesting take to see from the both of them. Because Arnold it doesn't seem like an Arnold movie where he's this scientist and trying to like save mankind in that sense by trying to find a cure constantly. Because even when you do see him as like an intelligent person, he's still usually some form of like DEA or FBI kind of agency, you know?
I have a 240 IQ and a 500-pound squat.
Yeah, exactly.
like
seeing him in that kind of sense is not a bad thing. It's just I don't know how his take would have been with it is where I'm getting at.
I don't think he would have been this, like me personally, I don't think that he would have cast him as the scientist per se. I think he might have cast him as the hero trying to save the scientist that was trying to reverse engineer everything to fix everything. I could see it working in that aspect, but you know,
even that aspect still seems kind of like a long stretch, you know?
yeah, like
I can see it in some senses, but I don't know how the two would have really done it together in a sense, because it's so weird hearing those two names together.
Yeah, it really is, outside of like Predator or anything that like deals with like that type of genre.
In the 90s, it was more of like Arnold was playing that FBI DEA, because I mean you had what? True Lies, you had Eraser, you had there was another one.
What was it? The Commando.
Yeah,
was one.
But I think that was like late 80s, early 90s. But
yeah, it was like early 90s if it was 90s.
The main ones in the 90s that like stick out that stereotype are True Lies and Eraser for me.
Yeah, and then what was the one where they did a remake of it in the late 2010s where he like got his mind erased and they implanted memories in his head.
Oh, 6 Day?
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. But it was just that scene where like you've got like 4 people trying to hold him down and he's moving all of them like.
Well, that's also Total Recall too. When he was doing that, that was
Total Recall
too.
Yes. Total Recall. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. No, that was in the 90s. That was in the 90s. No,
it was it in the 90s? I was thinking that was like 87.
I think it's 80s. Yeah, no, I think it's the late 80s. I got all fucked up there.
But yeah, like I could see it. That's another one of those ones that I could see it working and not working at the same time. Like
90. Oh my god.
Was it 90s?
Yeah, it was 90.
Oh wow. I didn't even get it all the way typed out. Before we one more thing before we go on to the next one. I found this out recently, funny enough, through TikTok, that Michael Jackson made a scary movie / music video in 96 called Ghosts, where he was a ghost and people were trying to kick him out of his house. And it apparently was a small side movie that I had never seen, but the effects are very dated, but I actually kind of watch it out of curiosity because it like from what I saw, it looks like a combination of like kid-friendly horror comedy and like some actual like practical effects that looked pretty decent. And I was like, okay,
interesting. It's kind of hard to wrap my mind around, but sure.
I'll send you the video of it later. Like it messed me up. I was just like, what? I didn't know he could act too. That's kind of weird, but okay. And we only got 3 more, or no, excuse me. Yeah, we only got 3 more on this list, but we're only going to be talking about 2 because 2 of them I don't know what they are because I never saw them, and they're supposed to be based off of other things. But Cary Fukunaga wanted to make a way darker It. Me personally, I think It could have been a little bit darker. Not true to the books, kind of dark, but there's some stuff that they definitely could have added in.
They could do so much more with the implications on a lot of things, but I mean, to really recite that book word for word in a sense, let's not do that.
Yeah,
there is a lot you could expand on with that. You can definitely go darker with it for sure.
Oh yeah,
but there is a threshold that you should stop at though.
Yeah, you should be like, that part's okay. That is not. But that part
we're just going to gloss over this section of the book. Okay, we can tell whatever story we want on this spot, right? Okay.
Okay. All right. I feel like somebody was reading through the book and they're like, yeah, no. And they're just like, yeah, we're not putting that part in. That part specifically. But yeah, like I could have seen it go a little bit darker. Like, I can't remember the name of the character with that his parents burned alive in the house. Because Mike, thank you. I can never remember all their names, but there was a scene in the book that I kind of wish that they would have kept, that they would have put in the movie. I don't remember how it exactly played out, but essentially I think it was when they were getting ready to go down in the sewers the first time, not as adults. And Mike came across his parents. Instead of them like trying to escape, he sees the bodies laying in the middle of the floor, and they're talking to him, and like they're like, Mike, we burned alive. We miss you. Come join us. You know, kind of like how they did with Georgie. Oh, you'll float too. You'll float too. Like that kind of sense. But I would have liked to have seen that in the movie, because I feel like that would have added to the fear factor of the overall, where as like, you know, you had the old lady with leprosy for what was his name? Eddie. Yeah. Yeah. The old lady with that leprosy, the werewolf, her father, the clown itself.
There's a lot more they could have done for sure.
Oh yeah.
I still like what we got. Don't get me wrong. I prefer the first one over the second one. I think they definitely could have gone darker though, for sure. But what they did do, I still enjoyed with how dark it got in some spots. The implications, again, sometimes is always worse than actually addressing it, you know?
Yeah.
Because your mind does a lot more worse things when the little less you know.
Yeah, because the greatest fear of humankind is the unknown, I always say. So like, would I have liked to see a darker version of it? Sure, they could have gone darker in some areas, but was it necessary?
See, that's a difference, though. Is it necessary? No. But you could always do that really harsh, go for it all, and then be like, okay, so what do we cut out and what don't you like? And we can reshoot that.
Yeah, like, hey, listen, Mr. King, look at this, tell us what you like, and tell us how we can make it better.
There's so many ways with it, but like, I don't know. I would have liked to have gotten it, but I'm glad with what I got. I'm happy with what I got.
Like, I like both I like both the new version and the Tim Curry version in their own respects, because I love Tim Curry's version of it because he made it to where the clown was both terrifying and playful, whereas in the new one, you didn't know which way he was going.
Sinister for the like, obviously to us, the audience, we know that he's not supposed to be friendly looking, but in the universe and so on and so forth, kids are drawn to the clown, so on and so forth, whatever, or whoever's drawn to the clown because of fear. But I love some of the scenes in that, especially like, again, one of my favorite scenes in the second one is the little girl at the baseball game and underneath the bleachers. Like I love how that scene is. Yeah. Like that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing.
For mine, I don't remember if it was the second one or the first one, but where he's standing on the riverbank and he's like waving the arm of the person that he just ate. I think that was the second one.
I want to say that was the second one. No, was it the first one? I think it's the first one, actually. I can't remember exactly what part it was, though. I know what part you're talking about. I think it's like the first one, though.
He's just standing there, blood all over his face. He's got the freaking arm. He's holding on to it like this, and he's like,
he waves
waving at him. And I'm like, all right, okay, like it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have liked to seen a little bit more darkness in it, but I'm happy with what we got. Like you said, I don't think it needed it, honestly, but it would have been interesting to see.
I'm the kind of person that says go all out first and then edit from there.
Yeah. And then lastly, we have another George Romero wanted to make a zombie rock musical.
It sounds wild to me that he'd want to do that, but if he were to, you're damn right. I'm gonna go fucking see that. I would have loved to see a take on that.
I feel like it would kind of be reminiscent of oh god, Rocky Horror Picture Show for me. I love Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love I love Romero. I love him for what he's created and all that fun stuff. For him to make a horror themed musical is something that we wouldn't have seen, because they were talking about doing this back in like early 2000s before he passed away. So this would have been pre what was it? Genetic Opera.
Yeah. And that came out in 2008.
Yeah, and that's honestly, that's one of my favorite gore musicals because there's more out there, believe me.
Mhm.
But that one is my favorite.
Oh, it's a very, very good one. I love opera.
Oh yeah, it's a
Repo. I mean Repo. I love Repo. It's so good.
Repo.
I could see it being that way. I really can, but I don't know if it would be as upbeat sounding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could definitely see that because I don't like if he's doing it zombie rock, I could see it being kind of more hard rock and that kind of like grungy.
Yeah, like that's exactly why it wouldn't be like as like fast sounding or like heavy or like actual operatic music in a sense, you know. I feel like it'd be a different like style.
Yeah, I could
like a School of Rock kind of sound.
Yeah, I could. That's one of those ones I could actually see working out if it had been made. If we had gotten the opportunity to do that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that would have been one of those ones that would have been good. It would have been a cult classic, just like all of his other movies. But I don't know. I don't know if they would make a sequel off of that. Which I would love to have seen it be made, but it's one of those ones I think it would have been a one and done type of deal.
It's fine as is. It's fine as is.
Yeah, it's like it's like one of those movies you're like, wow, that was great. I hope they never make another one because that one was great.
Yeah, just leave it alone. I mean, give it time. I'm pretty sure someone is going to remake it. Probably like another 10 years. Probably we'll see.
Well, I mean, the way that they're doing it now with horror movies has honestly piqued my interest because they have a lot of they're starting to have a lot more original ideas with horror instead of it just being the slasher flicks, the the creature features, or the religious horrors. They're kind of casting a wide net and coming up with really, really original ideas based on true stories, original ideas. Friggin' like when we did our reviews and our recommendations of the movies that are coming out, Renfield, that's an original idea. And then you've got The Pope's Exorcist. That's based on a true story. Evil Dead Rise. It's a reboot. I
can't wait for that.
That's going to be so good. We got what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks before that comes out?
And I think it's next week. It's on the 21st, right? I
think so. Yeah, I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, that's next week, Friday.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see, Googling it now. But yeah, I love seeing the fact that it's like that the horror genre is actually getting some love and some attention now because I'm sorry, I'm burnt out with the superhero movies. I haven't watched one. A lot of people are. Yeah, I haven't watched one since Endgame. I haven't watched any of the shows, and it's not because this actor, this that and the other. No, I'm done with it. I'm like I'll watch them when I watch them. I just wanted to finish the. Let's see. It comes out. Yeah, April 20th.
Yeah, next week.
420.
Let's go.
Comes out 420. That's funny. But yeah, like I just realized that. But yeah, I don't know. Like superhero movies. Like I'm a big comic book nerd. I'm a big anime nerd. I'm a big horror nerd. I'm a big, just all encompassing nerd. But at the same time, I'm burnt out on superheroes. I really am. I could go another 5 years without seeing another one get made, and I would be all the happier because I'm sorry, they're introducing all of the. They're introducing all of the. They've already listed all their big hitters, and now they're introducing all of everyone that's left. Like, I wish they would have continued. Yeah. Like, I wish they would have continued Daredevil. That show was great. I wish they would have continued Punisher. That show was great. The Iron Fist. That show was great. But, they just didn't continue the contract with those actors for whatever reason. And
there's
now
a lot of things that were going with it, but yeah, no, agreed. I'm just not a show person, so most of the shows I don't even watch for one.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, but yeah. I don't know.
That's why that's honestly why this year I'm on the horror bandwagon 110%. Is just
I'm on the horror bandwagon for the main reason of that I just love horror in general.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gotten a lot better over the past couple of years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like I hear more people actually enjoying horror or more talks about horror as opposed to, like again, 10, 15 years ago, it was like, you're one of the weird people that fucking watch horror movies and like that, don't you sick fuck kind of shit.
Yeah. I do remember that. That was a rough time to be a horror fan because we didn't really have anything. You had your Saws, you had your
series and or specific ones that kept it going, but nothing like as well presented as it has been in the past few years. Like, don't get me wrong, like Sinister and a lot of other movies back in like 08 to, up to now have been great. Like there's a lot of them, but it hasn't grabbed the attention as much as it has in the past few years as it has since then. There have been great horror movies that have been come out since then, but like the last few years really drew a lot of attention to how well they can be done, how well they can be told, and so on and so forth. And I'm so glad it's getting like a lot of recognition.
Yeah, me too. Because it was, I remember that one, like that 2 or 3 years we had of like just a dry spell of like no horror movies getting made. There wasn't anything coming out on Halloween except for like maybe one scary movie. And it was good. Like, yeah, like, and there was a lot of misses. There was a lot of misses over the past like 10 years alone. But in like the last, three or 4 years, it's been just kind of steamrolling. It's been snowballing. And I'm enjoying the ride. I've always liked horror movies. I've always liked the horror genre as a whole. But
what really got me into it was I just loved being scared when I was younger.
Yeah. Because what honestly got me to like scary movies is the same thing that I have a irrational fear of is The Grudge. Because it was 2003, I think. I was living in Florida. Hurricane Charlie had just hit, and me and my family were watching it in the living room. In our living room, it was very small. I had my bed on the floor, because we didn't have room for a mattress. We had a couch, a chair, my mattress, and then my area. My area consisted of my TV, my GameCube, and my Xbox, and my mattress. That was my specific area. I had a dresser in my grandma's room, which this was a 1-bedroom apartment that 5 people were living in. Or no, excuse me, 6. But while we were watching the movie, I was playing on my GameCube. I think I was playing True Crimes, Streets of LA or something like that.
Oh my God.
It was either that or Smash Bros. I don't remember exactly what game I was playing, but I was sitting there, I was focused on the screen. So I'm sitting there focused on my screen, and I'd look up every so often to look and see what was going on with the movie. And I hadn't seen it. This is pre-iPhone, pre-iPod Touch. This was like back when our iPods
spoilers weren't everywhere.
Yeah, back when our iPods were like half the length of this and twice the width.
Mm-hmm.
And
around HDD with you.
Yeah, and then Zune was like just starting, but I was sitting there. I hadn't heard anything about The Grudge. They just told me it was supposed to be a scary movie. I like scary movies, and I've always liked scary movies. But I was like sitting there. I was watching my screen, looking at the movie. Watching my screen, looking at the movie, and I just so happened to like do something and look at the movie right when she's turning around in the attic and the face popped out. And it was at that moment where the face popped out and scared her. I threw down my controller and jumped the length of my mattress and said, "Yeah!" And everybody died laughing.
Oh, I bet.
But it was one of those moments where it was like, I like that feeling. I like that the story that comes with like, oh, this monster only appears during certain circumstances, and this happens when it does, and don't read from this book.
Sure. No, yeah, for sure. I just loved that feeling of being scared, your heart rushing, and that like sudden jolt, like before like again, when we got into that trope also of like jump scares immediately means good horror movie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a trope that I kind of wish we would have let just kind of
it's
die
effective.
after like 2010.
It's effective. It still affects people today. If you use them properly, it's great.
Yes.
But to have like
the entire
more
movie,
than like there's so many jump scares or fucking cut different angle like multiple different times. It's like, oh my god, dude. There's so many things.
I think a movie that actually utilized the jump scare to suspense scare, like with audio cues and stuff like that, ratio really well, honestly, unbiasedly, was Sinister in more recent years. Because
I could agree with that, because the way they do the music is very unsettling, and then when they do some of the reveals throughout the movie, you hear that and music get more intense, and you can feel the weight of like the ambient sound or that dread or like that realization for the characters and so on and so forth. Like, it's done very, very well.
Yeah. And my thing is that for every, I think that like it did it really well, because for every one jump scare, it had 2 to 3 suspense scares like after that. And like the movie
more timed, like in your face out of a random moment, instead of like, oh, here it comes, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, where you're just like, oh, Paranormal Activity, got me. Like it was
that's
like
the same director and crew that did the Black Phone that I praised from 2021. Yes,
really, I didn't know that was them.
Movie is fantastic.
I've heard good things.
Fantastic. That is my number one movie from 2021. Oh my god, nice. I love that movie.
I saw the trailers for it, and that's Kevin Bacon, right?
In that one, Ethan Hawke.
It's Ethan Hawke. Okay,
it's Ethan Hawke. No, like I said, it's that whole crew.
Okay. Yeah, because excuse me. I always get Kevin Bacon and Ethan Hawke mixed up. I don't know why, and I don't know how.
I was going to say, that's a very hard mix-up, but
yeah,
okay.
I don't know how I do it, but I do. I'm like, hey, that's Kevin Bacon. They're like, no, that's Ethan Hawke, and I'm like, oh, oops. But yeah, like that. Like, I like him in any horror movie that he did. Because what was that? The Stir of Echoes.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Bacon. He's fantastic.
Yeah, with Kevin Bacon. Film. I loved Kevin Bacon in that film, and I loved Ethan Hawke in Sinister. Because like I'm sorry, Ethan Hawke is just, I feel like he is best made for horror movies. He's that kind of actor that you can put in any role, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's one of those ones that is like genre specific for like just for being that
in general, that suspense and thriller. Yeah, no, I feel that. Because it's not the greatest movie, but I do love him in Daybreakers.
Oh, Daybreakers was another good one. I actually liked Daybreakers. I didn't think it was a bad movie, but I think Willem Dafoe kind of stole the show on that movie.
Yeah, I mean, and he's just also a fantastic actor. I love Willem Dafoe.
I like anything that those two are in. I like anything that Kevin Bacon's in, and I like anything that
I have a love-hate relationship with Kevin Bacon. Like, he's a great actor. I love a lot of the films he's in and stuff, but like, I only see him in one of two roles. I either see him from Stir of Echoes being the good guy, but 99% of the time I see him as the dickhead fucking little prison guard from Sleepers. That's how I always see him. Oh yeah. So
I forgot he was in Sleepers.
Every time I see Kevin Bacon, I'm just like, you motherfucker.
Like, which role are you doing today?
Yeah, like, exactly. Because he did both very, very well.
Yes.
Because he did it very nice. I'm a good guy, and he plays that fucking despicable asshole.
Because he did that in R.I.P.D. the first one. I haven't seen the second one. I don't know if I don't even know if it's out yet or not. But yeah, he in R.I.P.D. he played Ryan Reynolds' partner, who turned out to be like a demon or something like that, possessing a human body. Spoilers alert. But yeah, he was like, at first he seemed to be like a really nice guy, and then like out of nowhere you're just like, bam, dickhead. And you're like, oh, dang it.
Fair. Yeah, no, it was definitely like that's how I always see him. But he's great. Love him.
But one genre I would actually like to see get a little bit more love honestly, in upcoming, since now technology and everything and practical effects have gotten so much better, would be like the psychological stuff, because Oculus I thought was pretty decent. Ouija was okay.
Oculus. I absolutely love Oculus. That's that paranormal suspense,
psychological,
minimalistic, but it's very complex, but very minimalistic visual where you're just like your mind's going crazy, like what's gonna fucking happen now. It's just so fucking good. Oh my god, I loved Oculus.
It was a good movie, and like just the whole like I kind of wanted them. This is going to sound dumb, but I kind of wanted them to do a sequel to Oculus after I watched it. But if it wasn't going to be the original writers and directors and team behind the first one, I wouldn't want it, because they did such a good job.
Flanagan wants to do a sequel. I don't know, honestly. I haven't heard any reports or anything. Well, I haven't actually looked up, but I don't know if he's going to do a sequel. If he does, it'd be interesting. But I don't think it would need it personally, because it's actually it's not specific to them, because it's tied to the mirror itself, which is what makes it like so fucking terrifying. It's just a very regular household item. That's what I love about those possession and psychological aspect ones. It's very, very good.
Yeah, because honestly, I think Oculus did really well where a lot of other psychological horrors kind of shit the bed, so to speak. But I would like to see more psychological stuff.
Like most of the psychological you'll see is either like your Hannibals, like Silence of the Lambs and so on and so forth, or you'll have your oh my god, I just had it, The Cell, like with like a killer in a coma. What's a futuristic way, or how do we kind of communicate with this killer and get locked in his world kind of sense.
And
I mean that's almost how the Insidious series can be looked at too, because you get locked into the other, and it's the mirror world in a sense.
Yeah, because I mean that one was kind of like that one honestly was a combination of paranormal and psychological, because it played on both. But it like, as much as I like the Insidious series,
the Further.
Yeah, the Further. There's my only complaint, honestly, is that a lot of the movies were very like I think the first two. Yeah, the first two were kind of jump scare reliant, but they made up for it with a lot of like the suspense.
There's a lot of unsettling scenes or whatever, but they didn't like go crazy with jump scares. But like, the ones that did happen are very well timed, very well scripted, and very, very good shots. Like, it's not just like and then it's like there's some that's like, here's a longer frame of it, but it's like jump scares, like, oh shit, that's surprising. Like, not just we're in your face, oogie boogie. It's like very subtle. Like the lipstick demon being like half in view is still one of the best scenes. Yeah.
And it's still praised to this day as one of the scariest scenes of all time, because of the simple fact that like nobody saw it coming.
Yeah. It's so smooth. It's done right. That's how you do a jump scare right.
Yeah. And they did it. They didn't just do it as like a jump out in your face type of thing. They did it. And this is something
I only this much of it, like half its face, and it's so intimidating.
And then on top of that, they played the music with it to where it was like you got the audio aspect of it as you were getting scared by the visual aspect of it, which is something that Sinister did as well. And that's what made me like both of those, is because they didn't just play on the let it pan out to dead silence and then scare them. No, we're gonna have the silence, the audio with the scare, to equate this jump scare to being bam right there, and then we're gonna have the suspense shots to have the buildup of the music.
It's done so well. Oh my god, I that scene is so fucking good, because I remember the first time watching it, I was just like, it caught me completely off guard. I was like, fucking, oh good.
It got me really well, because I was in the movie theater, and like while they were sitting there talking, I was scratching the inner part of my thigh, and it scared me so bad I actually punched myself in the nuts, like hard. Like, I jump back, and my first reflex when I get scared like that is to bring my hands up to protect my face. It's just I don't know why I do that. It's just a reflex to get my hands right here when I get scared. And
it's a lot of people's reaction,
and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, watching the movie and I'm scratching my, I was actually scratching my thigh. I know this looks weird. I was just scratching my thigh and that part happened. I just went wham. And I was just like, how is it? Like I tried to scream, but it was just so high pitched because I decked myself so hard. It hurt so bad. I felt it in my stomach, like right in this area.
That's the worst when it's in the stomach.
I was just sitting there and I was just like, I don't want to watch the movie anymore. I want to go home. I want to go home. And my friends were all dying laughing at me. And I'm just like sitting there writhing in pain. And I'm just like, ow. But one of the best comments I ever seen. I'm not the only one that was alone in this experience. There was I think I seen it on Tumblr like 10 years ago or something like that, back when Tumblr was still really popular. But a guy commented on that scene. He goes, scariest jump scene of my life. I was scratching my nuts, almost ripped the whole thing off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember seeing that comment. Yeah, because it's such a fucking well-placed spot. Just, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah. And it's at such a lull. You're not expecting it. You're in your comfort zone. You're just like, oh, they're talking about.
Okay, background story. Let's go. And then they throw that shit in broad daylight. You're not expecting it. It's so good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't creeping out of the shadows. There was no suspenseful buildup. It was just bam, and you're just like
I could praise that scene forever and a day. Oh, it's so good.
But like where Sinister and Insidious did really well. Paranormal Activity kind of flubbed the bed after the first one because I've seen all of them.
Same. I like some of the later ones. Don't get me wrong; they're not the best, but I enjoy what I get out of them. But like the first one and the second one share one of my favorite things. Like the first one, like did something not really original, but like in their own way, and it really did well. And the second one didn't just like take that idea and run with it. They expanded it. They did so much more, and it's very good. If they had kept it at those two, maybe the third one. Like I can see it being like a good cohesive story, but we got what we got.
Yeah.
But there is things of doing it right and or wrong and or falling into your typical trope. You know what to look for.
Yeah. And one of the things that absolutely 110% cracked me up about that movie that I found out just a couple years ago was that they would have a guy in the green, and like they would let the people that were playing the couple in the first one fall asleep in the bed. And then they would have like a silent radio, like a silent comm system or something like that set up to where they would have a dude in a green screen suit freaking burst into the room and scare the shit out of them. Like the scene where she's getting dragged out of the bed. That's a dude in a green screen suit actually like dragging her out of the bed. And that is their genuine reactions because they were dead asleep. Like, you know how bad that would mess me up mentally to just be like, hey, you're going to play a role. Okay. I'm playing a role in a scary movie, right? Yeah. Okay. And for this scene, you're going to be sleeping. And they would wait for them to be dead asleep. Like the director would walk up and like talk to them and like make sure that they're actually asleep to get their genuine reaction. So like when that shit occurred, he wouldn't like announce it to them or anything like that. They would just be like, hey, brace yourself. And be like, okay, for what? You'll see. They wait for him to be totally asleep, just sitting there waiting for him, rolling the entire time. That's why like you have like so much of the footage just sped up is because they were actually and then like out of nowhere it just stops and then the director's like, okay, they're asleep. No. Boom, door burst open. Give me your leg. Yeet! I'm sorry, that's genius. That is genius.
If it works, it works.
And then, what was the other thing too? Like a couple of the other scenes were like shit was going on. They didn't tell the actors what was happening on a lot of stuff. And this wasn't interviews from the actors. This was interviews from the director himself. He's like, oh yeah, I wanted like genuine fear in this movie. That's why it got praised the way that it did, is because my actors were genuinely scared of what was happening. And they're like, well, how'd you keep the surprise? He goes, I wouldn't tell them what was happening that day on set. I would just give them the script and be like, here, read your lines. And when the audio cue would happen, I would like hit a button or cause something to do something. And then they would get genuinely scared. Like the scene where like all the cabinets like just burst open. Mm-hmm. They had pressure caps on all the little seals that you put to like magnetize the cabinets to like shut.
Yeah.
And he was just like 3, 2, 1. And she was like, I don't know if I could work in those stressful environments, man.
Right.
It's like, hey, you're going to lay down for a nap. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Goodbye.
So, like, I'm pretty sure I probably screamed the same way, too. Just, ah! From me to all you guys, I'll see you on the next one.
I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.